So the title for today's webcast is Working Effectively in AutoCAD. On the screen, you can see the cover page of our AutoCAD Essentials Learning Guide. Some of the information that I'll be sharing today has been taken. Remaining, I have taken from our Beyond the Basics guide. So let's get started with this session. So today we are going to discuss 4 different tools that we can use to improve productivity and precision when we are working on design projects. So let's first go over the objectives and see what all we will accomplish by the end of this class. Now you will notice that there are bold words in the listed objectives, and these are the 4 tools or the action items that we're going to discuss today. So the first objective is about the properties palette that enables us to not only locate the information about an object, but also to modify various properties of that object. The second objective deals with the different measure tools that are provided with the software. These measure tools, they help us in obtaining the exact dimensions and other measurement values of the objects. The third objective is about working in multiple drawings and how to float one drawing such that we can either position them side by side or even make use of 2 monitors by having 2 different drawings displayed separately. This is really useful when we have to copy information from one drawing to another one. And finally, the fourth objective, we will make use of the floating window and match the properties of objects in one drawing with the objects in another drawing. Let's begin with the first objective, which is the object properties. So every object in AutoCAD software has properties. These can be layer, color, and line type, and geometric information such as vertex point, length, etc. And there are times when there are a lot of objects in a drawing, or sometimes you get the drawings that have been created by somebody else. In such cases, you might need to first find the basic information about the object. In such a situation, you can simply hover the cursor over an object, and at that point, it displays a tooltip. And that tooltip contains some very basic information about the object, like color and the layer and the line type. Now, just viewing the information about the selected object is not sufficient, and you might want to change some of those properties. That's when the properties palette comes into picture. There are 2 kinds of property palettes that you can use to modify the properties: the quick properties palette and the properties palette. The difference being that the properties palette is a detailed version than the quick properties palette. So first, a little bit about the quick properties palette. As I said, it is just a compact version of the properties palette, so the working is basically the same. It has some of the basic properties that you can view and modify. You can display it by selecting the object and having the quick properties tool toggled on. That quick properties tool is located in the status bar. So if the tool is toggled on and then you select any object, it automatically displays its basic information. Let's talk about the properties palette. The properties palette is a powerful tool that provides detailed information about selected objects and allows us to modify a wide range of properties, such as general properties like color, layer, line type, and then it also gives you the geometrical properties. Knowing how to use this palette effectively can enhance your productivity and precision when working on design projects. Using the properties palette to its full potential enables us to edit object properties with ease and accuracy. This palette helps us in making quick adjustments to objects without having to navigate through multiple menus or using command inputs. It allows for real-time editing where changes are immediately reflected in the drawing. Now, how do we get to the properties palette? There are multiple ways of opening the palette. The most common is in the View tab, Palettes panel, where you have all the palette icons in there, and you click the Properties icon to open the palette. You have the Properties palette open without any selection there. So once you have it open, you can then select any object and that displays the properties of that selected object. Otherwise, if you do not have the palette already open and you decide to modify the properties of an object, you can select the object and then right click and select properties in the shortcut menu. There are other methods also to open the properties palette. One of them is like pressing Control and 1 together. That also opens the properties palette. Just to let you know that I will be first presenting, like discussing the topic as you can see on the screen, and then there will be a software demonstration as well. So I'm just right now giving you details about what it means and how you can open it and all that stuff, but I will be demonstrating it in the software also after I have given all the details. So once the palette is opened for a selected object, you get to view its various properties. Now, how to modify those properties? You can do that by simply clicking in the value field of the property you want to change and then typing a new value in there. There are also some properties that display a list of options, such as the layer property that's shown in the leftmost image on the screen. It displays all the layers that are present in the drawing, and then you can either you can simply change the layer of the object from any other layer listed there. Some properties are numerical, as shown in the middle image on the screen. Once you click in the value field, you can either enter a number or you can use one of the icons that are given beside the property value. These icons are dependent on the property itself. Then you can also select more than one object of the same type. For example, the rightmost image on the screen shows 2 circles have been selected. In this situation, the software lists the types of properties that both the objects have in common. In this case, both the circles have common general properties. If their values are different, they are listed as varies. So in the image, you can see that the geometry values are different and therefore are listed as varies. The multiple selection is useful when you have to change the common properties for all the selected objects at the same time. For example, if you have several circles in a drawing and you want all of them to be of the same size. So what do you do that? Then in that case, you will select all the circles and change their radius to a certain radius in one step, and it will get changed for all of the selected circles. Now I will also discuss the measure commands as well, and then demonstrate both the properties palette and the measure commands together before we dive into the next 2 objectives. So in AutoCAD, it is pretty important to know the exact measurements of the objects that you create, and there are times when you need to obtain those measurements. So for example, you need to check the diameter of a machine cylinder, or the distance from the property line to the corner of a parking lot, or you need to know the area of a room in a house. So how do you obtain those measurements? The software provides us with various measure tools. They enable us to measure distances, radius, diameters, angles, areas, and volumes. So these measure tools are located in the Home tab, Utilities panel. where you can expand the measure flyout. You can see that on the screen on the right hand side, and all the measure tools are listed there. Now, the first one is the quick measure tool, and as the name says, it provides you with multiple measurements in real time. Therefore, it's a quick and easy way of obtaining the dimensions, distances, angles, areas, perimeter, etc. So, and you can achieve this in a single command. So, as you can see in the image at the bottom, you can see the distances, dimensions, and right angles are provided using this quick measure tool. Then there are the rest of the measure tools. First one is the distance tool, and as the name specifies, it is used to obtain the distance between 2 points. So once you start the distance command, the cursor displays as a question mark. At this point, you need to select the 2 points between which you want to measure the distance. It's a good practice to be using object snaps to select the precise points to measure, and that way what will happen is that the software will provide you with accurate measurements. Then we have the radius tool, which again, as the name specifies, is used to find the radius and diameter data for circles or arcs. Similarly, you have the angle tool, where you can find the angle between two lines. Continuing with the measure tools, you have the area tool, where you can measure the area of a space by selecting points around the space that you want to measure. As you pick the points around the space, a temporary green color fills the area, indicating the selection. When you are finished, press enter to display the total. Both the area and the perimeter for the area is provided there. So instead of picking a boundary, like the points for the boundary, you can also get the area of an object. So there is an object option provided for which you can get the area. Then you can also, for the area tool, you can also add and subtract certain areas from the original area. You can also do that. Then there is also the volume measure tool, and this calculates the volume of 3D objects using a method which is similar to the area option. So if you are working with 3D objects, you can first select the boundaries as you do while calculating the area, and then you are additionally prompted to provide a height to complete the calculation. So that way, once you give the area, you select the boundary to figure out the area, and then you have to give the height, and that calculates the volume of that 3D object. Now let's go and I'll demonstrate both the properties and the measure tools. So I have the AutoCAD 2026 open, and I have one of the drawings already open in there. You can see that it's kind of an office plan with desks and chairs and all those different things. So first of all, let me show you that how to work with the quick properties. As I told you before, in the status bar, there is this quick properties tool right there. And right now it's off. So if I switch it on and then I click on any, so I'll switch it on, so it's toggled on, and I will go and like select this polyline, which is a column, and you can see all the different basic properties are given. Here you can easily go in, for example, if you click in on walls, it shows you the layers, and there is a drop down list. You can choose any layer here, and it changes based on that. As you can see, it's showing me the preview of the hatching layer, or then it's showing the preview of the HVAC layer. So for now, we'll keep it on walls back again, and that's the quick properties. Now the properties, it was already open. I'll close it and then show you how to open it. So this way you can get some of the basic properties. And if you just want to change the layer or a color or something like that for an object, you can definitely use the quick properties tool. Now I will want to show you the properties palette. So as I said before, it's available from the View tab and in the Palettes panel where all the different palettes are situated. You have the icons for that. We have the Properties palette here as well. So you can click on that and it opens the Properties palette. And this is the detailed version of the properties. As you can see, the list goes completely, like you have all the different values there for different properties of objects. Right now there is no selection, and that's what it states here. There is no selection. Now in the quick properties we could change the layer and all that stuff, but for example we have a circle right here and I want to change the diameter or the radius of it because it looks a little small. So you can see it here. So what I do is I click on it, and in the properties palette, it shows that the circle is selected, and it also gives me apart from the general properties, it's also giving me the other, like the geometry and everything. So the radius is right there, and let me change it to at least 2 feet. I can do that right here. I'll enter 2, maybe 2.1. and say enter. You will notice that the diameter will also automatically change, and then the circle will also increase in size. So I'll go enter, and you see that the circle has become bigger and the diameter has changed as well automatically. So that's the use of the properties palette. Plus then you can also, as I was telling you before, you can use multiple objects, select multiple objects. So for example, we have these inner partition lines, but if I select it, you see that it's still on the layer walls. So maybe I want to change it to the partition layer. We have a layer by the name partitions right there, and it's magenta in color. So you can see that how it changes. So to commit to this layer, I'll click on it, and that's when this layer changes. Now, if I press escape, this one of these layers becomes just magenta and the rest are still black. Now I want to change the layers of all the objects right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select it using the crossing window right here. And as you can see, there are multiple objects have been selected. And if you go in here, it shows the layer as varies. And why does it do that? Is because one of the layers of the top layer, I changed that to partitions, while as rest of the objects are on layer walls. So what we can do is I can click in here, and in one go, I can change the layer for all of those objects to partitions right here. So, and then choose escape, and then that's done. So you can see that how the properties panel is quite handy. You can first of all view all the information, and you can change the properties, modify them individually, or you can do that for multiple objects together. In one go, you can just change it in the properties palette. So this makes it very easier and effective while you're drawing or a drawing process. During the drawing process, it's an easy tool to use and a very effective tool to use. So that was the properties palette. Let's now use the measure tools. So measure tools are provided in the Home tab and in the Utilities panel right here. So you have the measure tools listed. All of them are right there. So as I said before, you can simply, if you want to see the different measurements like dimensions and the distance between two walls and things like that, you can use the quick measure tool. So you simply, for example, I want to see, I can go in here, and you can see that that desk is of, it's showing the dimensions of the desk, which is 2 feet and 6 inches. It's also giving me the dimension of the top inner wall, which is 17 feet and 2 inches. And similarly, it's giving me the dimensions of the right-hand wall as well. And then on top of that, it is giving me the distance between the desk, right edge of the desk, and the left and the wall, right here. So as I keep on moving, you will see the different dimensions and measurements that are listed. And in this case, it also shows me the right angle because I'm touching, there's nothing between the two walls, so it shows me the two right angles there. So this is a quick and easy way of displaying the dimensions, the measurements, the different distances between two things, and also the angles. And I can also, if I click inside one of the, for example, I need to know the area of the desk. So I can just simply go in there and click on it. And you can see that it fills it with the green color, indicating that the area is listed in on near the cursor. And but I know you cannot see it. It's dark and white background, but if you want to clearly see it, you can also see it in the text box in the command line here, right here. It showed you the area in square inches and also in square feet, and the perimeter as well. So that's the quick measure tool. I'll escape. And then you can use various other tools. For example, I want to I want to check the area. Again, you can check the area, you can check the angle. So for example, I want to check the angle of this this arc. So that's what it will give me. There's the 90-degree angle for this one. So similarly, you can choose different things. You can use any other tools to measure. For example, I want to see the maybe the distance between this wall and that wall. So as I said before, once I select that measure option, a question mark displays at the crosshairs, and then I have already the object OSNAPs are already selected. So to give me the exact measurement, so I'll select this point and then this point, and it will show me the exact distance between those 2 points. So it's 5 feet 6 inches between these 2 points. So that's how you can use the different measure tools, and it becomes really important again while designing. When you're designing, you need to know the different information and how to find the measurements, how to find the different properties. So that was the demonstration, and let's go back into our PowerPoint slide and continue with our presentation for the next two. So now, so we will now talk about the last two objectives together. Again, we'll talk about those two objectives together, which is the floating windows and the match properties. And then I will demonstrate both of them together as I did the other two. So before we discuss how to use the floating windows, I'll give you a brief overview of multiple drawings, as that is the prerequisite for placing floating windows. So in AutoCAD, you can open multiple drawings in the same session of the AutoCAD software. And this makes it easier to copy information across drawings. The File tabs along the top of the drawing window, it displays the names of all the open drawings. The Currently Active Drawing tab, it displays with a white background. And as you can see in the image on the screen, the bearing dimensions drawing, that is currently active. because it has a lighter background, like a white background. And even the name in the tabs bar, it is like in bold letters. So that is how it is indicated that that is the current drawing. And the drawings, if you have multiple drawings open, and these drawings, they display in the order in which they were opened. So but you can always change their order by dragging and moving the tabs to new locations. Excuse me. I think my throat became a little dry. Now, as I mentioned earlier, floating drawings, they enable you to work in multiple drawings side by side without having to switch between tabs. It is extremely simple to have any drawing as a floating drawing. What you do is you simply pull the drawing tab out of the tabs bar, and that displays it as a separate drawing window. Now, as with any other Windows function, you can resize the drawing window, place it side by side, or let drawings overlap one on top of the other. If you have a second monitor, you can easily drag the floating drawing onto a different screen and have the two drawing files displayed on two separate screens side by side. Now, once you click inside a drawing, you make that drawing active. The active drawing remains on top always. It remains on top. Now, but if you want to keep the floating window on top, then you need to pin that floating window. And if you pin a floating window, it ignores the active drawing and allows the pinned floating drawing to always stay on top of the main application window. The floating window has its own command line, dynamic input, and layout tabs bar. The ribbon, the quick access toolbar, and the status bar are only available in the main application window. But of course, you can use them in the floating drawing window as well. And these tools that are in the ribbon or are the tools that are in the quick access toolbar are associated with the drawing that is currently active. So whichever drawing is currently active, these tools will work with that drawing. So as I mentioned earlier also, to make the drawing current, you have to click inside it, and then the crosshairs will display in the current drawing. So that's how it's indicated that that drawing is a current drawing. On the screen, you can see that the bearing dimensions tool, which is a floating window, that has the crosshairs hairs in there, and that indicates that that one is is the current drawing. And also we have pinned it on top of because that pin, that blue blue highlighted pin indicates that it has been pinned on top of the main application window. Now, if you do not want to have the floating drawing tabs as separate windows, you can simply drag and drop the floating drawing window back onto the Files tab bar. Then it becomes part of the Files tab, and you can then switch between drawings by clicking on their tab. And now the last tool is the Match Properties command. It is used to make objects in your drawing have the same properties as another object. So it enables you to select one object as a model and then copy its properties to any other object you select. Match properties works for general object properties such as color, line type, and line weight, and for the formatting of some specific object types, including text, dimensions, hatching, and tables. It is available in the Properties panel of the Home tab. Once you start the command, you are required to select the source object, which will be used as a model. And after selecting the source or the model object, the cursor changes into a small square box, which is a pick box with a paintbrush. And you can see on the screen near the bedroom, there is that paintbrush and the pick box. Now, as you move the cursor over the object, another object that you want to change, the object changes to display a preview with the new properties. So it is just a preview. It shows once you hover that pick box over the other property. So once you feel that it's okay, select the object to change its property to match the properties of the model object. Now, match properties also works across drawings. You can specify the source object in one drawing and apply those properties to objects in another drawing. This is a good example on the usefulness of floating windows, where you can have both the drawings visible while you're matching the properties of objects in the drawings. So now let's demonstrate how the floating windows and the match properties work. So I'm here in my what do you call it, the software. And so we will be working in those two drawings, the Big House 1A drawing. So let me open it first. And then I will let me hover my cursor over one of the texts. We'll be matching those texts in those two drawings. And we will do them by using the floating window option and then using the match properties. So first of all, let's see what is the layer for the primary bedroom, like this text here. So the layer is our names. So just keep that in mind. Now let me open the floor plan A and then go a little closer, zoom into, and now let me hover my cursor over over this text. And now here notice that the layer text, it is on layer text. Now what we want to do is that we want to move all those text objects in this drawing to the same layer, which is the our names layer in the Big House window, Big House drawing. Now we could have done this easily by selecting them here and then choosing the layer here. But if I show you, the R names layer is not there at all. So I need to bring in the properties, not only the layer, it has other properties also associated with it, like the size, the color, and etc., etc. So it will bring that all those object properties and place it on the match properties. We will use that to bring those properties and change these text objects to that layer and to those properties. Now, to easily to see them both visibly, what we do is I will take this floor plan and I will drag it outside like so. And you can see that it becomes a floating drawing. If I had a second monitor, which I do have, but I have to show it on the same monitor for you, I will place it here. But if I by chance click inside the other, which is the office plan, that's the current drawing, to make it current, this will go behind it and I will not be able to see it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pin it on top so that it remains on top all the time. So I'll go and click it, and now it is pinned. So now you can see that even if I click inside here, nothing is going to happen, right? Because it is pinned on top. Now this drawing is still active. Let's make the Big House 1A active because we want to get the object properties of this text here. and use those object properties in the newer window. So now we are right now, this is the current drawing. Big house one is the current drawing. As you can see, the cursor is right here. If I move my cursor over to this, you will see that there are no crosshairs, which indicates that that is not the current drawing. And then now let's me choose the match properties command, which is available in the home tab properties panel right here. And as you can see, it turns into a pick box. And now as this one is, so I will grab the properties of this text and click on it. So it has grabbed it already. And now it shows me a pick box and the paintbrush. Now let me move here, but again, I don't have the crosshair. I have to make this drawing, which is the floating drawing floor plan. I have to make it current. And how I can do that is by clicking inside of it. And now I can see the crosshair, which is, in this case, is the paintbrush and the pick box. And now I'll move over and you will see that it will change the properties. It will change the style, the text style. It will also change the thickness. It will change the color. It will change the layer. And I will change all of them like so. And then once it is done, I'll say escape. And now as we have the properties open, I will select one of the text items and see the layer has changed to our names. And because it was not there, it was created because the our names was not available in the floor plan A, it was created here. So that's done, and escape. And now if I want to put this floor plan back into the tabs bar, I can just drag and drop it wherever I want to. I can move it. I can choose any location. I'm just placing it at the end, and that's how it is. And this is the current drawing. Now, if I want to switch between the drawings, I can just go tab, but I cannot see both of them together. That is the beauty of having the floating windows, and it makes life so easier. So when you have to copy and paste different objects or maybe object properties from one drawing to another, this is a very wonderful tool to have, the floating windows tool in AutoCAD. Now let's get back. Now let's recap. All the 4 objectives were done, and I also demonstrated all 4 of them. And now let me recap. So what we were able to accomplish today. So we were able to locate information about objects and modify their properties using the properties palette. We then used the measure tools to obtain the dimensions and the area of the objects. We worked in multiple drawings and used the floating window to display a drawing separately. And finally, we matched the properties of a model object in the application window drawing to the objects in the floating window, thus working across drawings and using 2 separate drawings and visibly seeing the changes that I was making in 2 different drawings. And with this, you're now back to Karine.